tell?
Scrolling through the feed, what do I see? Your face popping up, it's calling to me. Hit that button, make it shine so bright. One click away from changing your night. Subscribe, like, share, and comment now. Raise the roof, let's show 'em how. Spread the love, let it go worldwide.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm the TMax. I have been traveling in South Africa for almost the last 3 months. You can see behind me that I'm here in Cape Town. That's Table Mountain behind me. Just amazing views everywhere you look in this city.
It's all so beautiful.
When I'm making these observation videos, I usually try to make sure I see something 3, 4, 5 times before I say, okay, it's an observation versus just a random occurrence. South Africa is quite unique. I have a lot of observations, so let's jump straight in. As you saw from the skit in the beginning, the South African handshake is really cool. It's just a way to know that somebody's been here for a while or somebody is South African. As soon as you dap them up, you get the little thumb connection at the end, like almost thumb high five, a high thumb. And the urinals here are so high, which is, I'm like, who is peeing in these urinals? They're like 4 feet off the ground. I mean, I'm a pretty tall guy, but like even I'm like almost touching the lip of the urinal. Which leads me to my next observation is I actually don't see that many tall South Africans. I was expecting to see more, but I mean, I've seen maybe 10 people taller than me since I've been here. And on that same note, you know, when you go to bars or clubs, you have the bouncers, you know, in the US and Europe, I mean, these guys are like huge. In South Africa, these guys are my size. I'm like, bro, I could take you. Let me in the club. So if you've been watching the journey, you see back in Durban, I mentioned this, but my drone has had so much signal interference while flying here. And I've flown this thing in many countries. And then after chatting with AI, it said that the South African frequency, everybody's on the lower end of the spectrum. Nobody uses the higher end. And so the drone, when it gets farther away, it needs to use the lower end. It uses the high end when it's close, but farther away, it needs that lower end, which is why I lose signal very quickly because there's too much interference. And I've even chatted with other people who said like their Bluetooth headphones sometimes just stop working or they disconnect from their phone. And even me, when I'm using Google Maps, I mean, like every other time I open the application, it wants me to recalibrate. I'm like, I just recalibrated you. And for my first video, when I first landed here in Joburg, I made this comment about, you know, a guy with the vest was trying to help me get to the Uber location and he wanted some money. So the vest culture here, I mean, the people wearing vests for everything, you know, to help you park, to help you with this, help you with that. And you have no idea if these vests are official or not because everybody has a vest on. And even if you're just walking around the street sometimes, you just see like a group of guys just walking, you know, going to lunch or something, they all have vests on. Maybe it's a fashion statement too, but it's definitely to make it seem like they're official. So be careful with the vest guys. And if you've seen the Soweto video, you'll know that South Africa has 12 official languages, and many South Africans speak multiple languages, 3 or 4 easily. But when I tell them, I speak the languages I speak, they're all impressed, like, whoa, you speak so many languages. I'm like, everybody in your country speaks a lot of languages. How is that impressive? But thank you. And again, for those of you who are following my journey, thank you, by the way, for following the channel. You will know that I absolutely hate paying to use the toilet. And here in South Africa, you know, there's some places where you don't have to pay. Actually, quite a few are free. But occasionally you will come across a pay toilet. And usually it's like 2 rands, which is like 14 or 15 cents. So it's not really the value that's the issue. It's just the fact that I hate paying to use the toilet. And something I've seen way too many times for this to be coincidence, public urination, specifically men. And I've seen this in some other countries, you know, occasionally like if you gotta go real bad. But here they're a lot more lax about it, like it's normal. In the city too, you'll see usually homeless people, but sometimes not. You know, people just kind of walk next to a tree and pee or just on the wall somewhere. And it's, yeah, the men here, I haven't seen any women, thankfully, and not to say that they don't do it, but yeah, but the guys, you see them a lot and it's just public urination and nobody says anything. So I'm just gonna have to assume it's part of the culture. One day I was packing my backpack and I dropped my water bottle and fell on the ground. And the guy like across from me, he said, sorry. And I was like, did you knock my water bottle down? So I noticed that South Africans use sorry for that. When something bad happens to someone else, they'll say sorry. Or instead of saying, excuse me to pass, they say sorry. Or to get someone's attention, sorry. And I remember like, I even bumped into a chair one time and then another guy was like, sorry. I was like, are you controlling the chair? What's happening here? And if you're hyper vigilant like me, you'll notice that I'm chewing gum right now. And when I was in Pretoria, I was entering the metro station. And I mean, I wasn't like chewing like that. I mean, just really subtly chewing. I think I was talking to my buddy Rodrigo. And the police officer, I guess, at the metro station, she was like, hey, you can't take gum in the metro, spit it out. And I was like, first of all, how did you see that I was chewing gum? And second of all, wow, it's just, the metro is quite strict here, no gum on the metro. And again, back to the Durban video, I mentioned this, but sunrise here in South Africa is so early. It's like 4:50 and the sun is coming up. And it's like, bro, oh yeah, we're at the very southernmost part of the planet. Okay, I get it. Because, you know, in Europe and the US, like the sun, it takes its time. It'd be like 9:30, be like, come on, sun. You know, in Brazil, they got that late sun. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, but really, in Brazil. And so in the last 3 months, I've stayed at tons of hostels and accommodations. Actually, if you'd like me to do a video on all the different hostels I stayed at, leave a comment below. Say, hey, Tim, make a video about all the hostels. And if that comment gets enough likes, I can make a video about that. But I noticed when I'm booking my hostels, a lot of them will say self-catering. And I'm like, wait, like, do I have to cater to other people? Like, what is this self-catering? And what that actually means is that you are responsible for your own food. So they do not include food with the accommodation. And like with my American mentality, it's like, no, food was never guaranteed. That's normal. You don't have to specify that there's no food. That is normal. So here they specify when there's no food. So if you don't see self-catering, double check, you might actually be getting a meal. And now that I'm in Cape Town, as I mentioned before, it's hot today. The weather here has been just like night and day. When I landed in Joburg, the first 7 days it rained like every day. And I've been in Cape Town 5 weeks, and I think it's rained twice the whole time I've been here. There's quite a stark contrast between the weather in the east and west of South Africa. Oh, I picked the most uncomfortable location to stand. And when I'm traveling around the world, I often make jokes about, you know, oh, like they have like semi-overweight people here, but nothing like the US. South Africa is, they're respectable second place. I think of all of my travels, the South Africans can get quite big. I think some of this is cultural too. I've been looking for a Zulu man to interview and ask him about this attraction to larger women. So if you're a Zulu guy and you want to do this interview with me, leave me a comment below. We need to chat. But you will see a lot more overweight people here, and not just overweight, but larger than, you know, just overweight. But okay, South Africa, calm down. USA is still #1. Like, I don't see people on rascals here, and, you know, people who need to be moved in wheelbarrows like we do. So, you know, America's still #1. Yay, America. We shouldn't be celebrating that, should we? I was walking around the neighborhood with some friends, and we saw some guys playing a game, and I was like, hold on, that's not what I think it is. So we walk over, and it was. They were playing pétanque, which is a game that I was introduced to in the south of France. The name is French. I don't remember the rules, but it was just really interesting to see them playing that here in a park. It wasn't just some French guys who brought their game and was playing it in the park. It was a designated pétanque area, and I thought that was really interesting. Okay, so for my Italian friends, just go ahead and plug your ears for this part. I had a pizza with banana and like spicy sausage, and it was I'd never seen this on the menu, and I was like, this is super strange. I ordered it and I ate it and it was delicious. But I was thinking, okay, it's just that restaurant. And then as I was traveling through South Africa, I kept seeing this thing on different menus, and I was like, okay. Even the Brazilians don't put banana on their pizza, so this is something new to me. As I'm traveling around the country, I spend a lot of time in motor vehicles, cars, Ubers, buses, whatever. There's a lot to unpack around driving and in the highways and stuff here. So first, you know, they drive on the left side of the road here, and the driver's on the right side of the car. That takes getting used to. And when you're walking, you're a pedestrian, you're like, you know, which way do I look? I know you're supposed to look both ways, but you know which way you look first usually. And here is always the wrong way for me. I'm like, oh yeah, there, and then poof, whoa, I should have. Now I double check. Now I'm pretty good at looking both ways. And since that's the culture, that also means when you're walking down the street, people will tend to walk on the left. And even on escalators or wherever you're at, people stand on the left and people pass on the right. South Africans do not stop at stop signs. They'll slow down a little bit, and if they see nobody in that cross, they go ahead and gun it. There's no shifting. They're not even downshifting. They go through stop signs. And then red stoplights, again, they'll look around, especially when you're outside the city area. They're like, it's a yield sign, or maybe it's a stop. They'll come to like a California stop, they'll slow down really slow, see nobody's coming, and then keep going through the red light. There are 3 driving services here in South Africa. You have Uber, Bolt, and then they also have InDrive. What's different about InDrive from Uber and Bolt is that you can set your own price. So you can say, hey, I'll pay you 25 Rand to take me here. And then the other drivers can say, okay, I accept that. Or they say, oh, I'll do it for 20, you know, so it's almost like a bidding system. And I'd used this once before in Bolivia. So when I saw it here, I was like, oh, that's cool. 2 quick anecdotes about riding in Ubers and Bolts. I had a driver one time, and I was going to Soweto, and so he accepts the fare, but then he shows up and he's like, so where are you going? I said, Soweto. And he was like, but isn't it dangerous there? And I was like, yeah, just drop me off though. You don't have to stay and hang out with me. And he's like, I don't feel comfortable. I was like, what's going on? So it turns out that he's from Chad, so he's not from South Africa, and he heard that Soweto was super dangerous, so he was scared to go there. He had been living in Joburg already for a couple years, never been to Soweto. So I had to call Thabo, who was the guy that I did 2 of the videos with previously on the channel, to have him talk to this guy and like kind of coax him, like, yeah, it's fine, it's a safe area, whatever, just so he would go drop me off in Soweto. And then the funny thing about this guy, he thought I was Ethiopian, and I was like, it was a lot happening that day, but I did make it. It was a really cool video. Make sure you check that out with Thabo. And then on that same day when I'm going back to my hostel, it had rained real heavily. And so like, flooding on the road. And so my Uber driver was like, yeah, it's flooding on my side of the road, so I'm gonna go against traffic and then just honk my horn and, flash my flashers and my high beams so people move out of the way. And he was like, yeah, they know what it is. They know it floods over there. They should move out of the way. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna question you on your home turf, but this is super dangerous. and I looked behind us to see if nobody else followed us. It was just us. So this guy was like a renegade Uber driver. I made it home, so hats off to him. So still with the ride sharing service, specifically Uber, several times somebody will accept my request and then just sit there and not move. And it's not like, a few minutes, like 2 or 3, okay, maybe he went to the bathroom, whatever. It'd be like 5, 10 minutes. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? I'm messaging them and they're not responding. I'm like, why did you accept the request and then not come? You see on the map, the thing is they're just sitting there. I even had one guy accept it. He was like 15 minutes out and then he got to within 5 minutes and then stopped there for like 10 minutes. And I was like, that is so irritating. Please stop doing that. And since I've taken so many Ubers here, I have compiled a compilation of Uber driver names. So I'm gonna flash them on the screen here and I'm gonna let you at home try to figure out how to say these names.
Subscribe to the TMax and see the world. Stories unfold, adventures unfurled. Hit that button and share the thrill. The TMax journey is also real.
And so when you're out driving on the highways, especially outside the city, say it's a 1-lane road, if a car wants to pass, the guy in front will see them approaching quickly, so they'll pull over onto the shoulder, still driving full speed, but like the shoulders here are huge, like full-size lanes. They'll pull over to the shoulder, trucks do this as well, pull over to the shoulder so that the person can pass on the right. People know to do it. There's no sign that tells you to do this. I don't know if you learned that in driving school, but yeah, that's a pretty cool thing that they do. And also when you're on the highways, especially entering a town or leaving a town, you'll see hitchhikers. And most, hitchhikers, thumb, like, hey, let me ride for free. Here you'll see people that have money in their hand and they're like, look, this is what I'm offering to pay you. And obviously the person you can negotiate or whatever, but they're just like, hey, look, I got money, stop, trying to get to where I'm going. And when you're in like heavy traffic areas on highways in cities, you'll often see people standing in the road or on the side of the road selling food and drinks, sometimes SIM cards. If you're in Joburg or Cape Town, Durban in heavy traffic, you're gonna see these people selling stuff. Guys, I'm only on number 13 of like 52. Also, one really interesting thing that I've seen here is when you're on the highway and you see billboards, right? You'll see them on like 2 sticks and a big billboard. In Joburg specifically, you'll see old shipping containers. And there'll be like 8 of them stacked on top, and then they just like hang a canvas billboard over the side of that, and it'll be one on both sides. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So their billboards can be like gigantic. Imagine 8 shipping containers like all compressed together. There's something that I seen here that was so unique, and I was trying to get a video of it, and I never got the video. So I got some other videos that are kind of show you my idea, but it's these guys with these large carts, and they're pulling usually recyclables or trash or something. They'll go through the neighborhoods and collect all the trash. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're these huge carts. And I've seen 2 or 3 times guys that surf them. So they, pull the handle up and they jump on the cart with the stuff, and they're basically driving this cart with this handle, the pull handle, like a wagon. It's incredibly dangerous, but it's super cool to see. And I've only seen it 2 or 3 times, and every time I just wasn't prepared to film, so I didn't get to film it. But it is normal and it's part of the culture because you'll also see signs that say, drivers, watch out for them, don't hit them or whatever. So that tells you when they make official signs about it that it's a common thing. Is it weird if I stand way over here? It is. Okay, I gotta change. When you walk into any store or any public location, you're gonna see a sign on the wall that says like, indemnity clause. If you go into any museum or monument or tourist place, you're gonna see this indemnity thing on the wall. When you sign up for tours on your phone or on the internet, one of the things is gonna be an indemnity thing. They just are saying, look, stuff's gonna happen. If it does to you, we're not liable. And in the US, we're very litigious, so you would think that I'd be used to this, but I've never seen it on like at the mall on the side of the building. It's everywhere here. They're just really like, look, we're not responsible. Look, hey, we told you. So every entrance has these. It's amazing. You see them everywhere. I like tech and gadgets, so I like going to the mall and checking out, you know, the new gear, whatever that's come out. And I've noticed here that electronics specifically are quite a bit more expensive than the US and Europe. And I've been told that there's like a 30% tax, which makes the electronics quite expensive here, but still has nothing on Brazil with that Brazil tax, 60+% where stuff is double and triple the price. But still, I'm not gonna buy anything here, except my new camera lens that I'm filming on right now, but I got a really good deal on the trade-in, so it made it worth it to buy it. This lens looks good, right? Like, I look pretty good. That's not the lens, that's just me. And when I'm walking around and people see my phone, they recognize it. And I don't have an iPhone, I have a Google Pixel. Google does not sell Pixel phones here in South Africa, but every South African knows what a Google Pixel looks like and they are excited by it. I've had so many people, and I have like, my phone's like 4 or 5 years old, and they're like, oh, is that a Google Pixel? Bro, that's so cool, can I check it out? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, you know, in the US, nobody has ever stopped me like, oh, cool, Pixel, you know, nobody cares or even knows. But in South Africa, they know the Pixel. I mentioned this in the Pretoria video. South Africa, like most normal places in the world, the price that you see is the price you pay. None of this, oh yeah, at the register, additional taxes, US. So good job, South Africa. But on the flip side, like most restaurants and stores close here by 8, 9 if you're lucky. So stuff shuts down. You know, in the US, I'm used to like 24-hour stuff, or at least ain't open till 10 or 11. Like at 8, 90% of the businesses are closed here. Restaurants are the only thing that'll stay open past that. And this is an observation I have in every country I go to. I talk about the price of cell service. So I came to South Africa on Airlo, which is an eSIM service. I'll leave a link in the description below. It's got my little affiliate link, and I make like $1 when you sign up for something. So feel free to click that link. But I came here with that. It was $14 for 5 gigs for 30 days, which is great. I don't use a lot of data. When I'm out, usually use Wi-Fi. But then I saw MTN had a deal for 20 gigabytes during the day and then 20 gigabytes at night for 200 Rand, which is about a little less than $12, and also for 30 days. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a way better deal than I got. But it's interesting because you get the 20 gigabytes at night, which is separate from the day. So you guys remember free nights and weekends, or, you know, like singular wireless way back in the day?
I'm talking about that old school.
That still exists here. They have like phone calls at night. Your plans, you get the night plan, the weekend plan, the daytime plan. So they still segregate the time versus, you know, the US and Europe now and China. It's like, here's your data, you use it whenever. So in the grocery stores here, you'll see like this big tank of water, and those are water refill stations. So once you buy, you know, a 5 liter or 1.5 liter and you drink it, when you come back the next time, they give you a little sticker that covers the barcode, and then you can refill that same bottle, and you pay like 2 Rand for every 1.5 liters versus the, you know, 12, 13 Rand that the bottle initially costs. So that's a pretty cool service. And in these same grocery stores and convenience stores and even like truck stops, people come inside barefoot, and it's not like we're at the beach or, you know, it's not the places where you would be barefoot. It's just regular places. And you will always see somebody barefoot. And it's not always just kids, like adults will do it too. It doesn't bother me, but you know, in most places, no shoes, no shirt, no service or whatever here. Yeah, you can be barefoot in a lot of places, so. Okay, if you are a butter popcorn lover like me, do not buy the butter popcorn here because it's not butter, it's cheese. It's a coating that they put on there, and in the butter flavoring, it's like butter flavored cheese is what it is. And I'm like, stop calling it butter, and then they'll have like cheese flavor too. And one of them I was like, I'm just gonna compare. It was the same bag. I was like, y'all just put the same popcorn in 2 different bags. they both taste like cheese. So if you like butter popcorn, you got to make it yourself because they do not sell. But and then I haven't been to the movies yet, but I have been told that there as well, you buy the popcorn and they put the powder on it, the butter powder, and it tastes like cheese as well. And next to the popcorn are Doritos. And if you are a fan of Cool Ranch Doritos, you know that blue bag, you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get it. You get to the register, check it out, you crack open your bag and you go to eat it and you're like, this is not Cool Ranch. Yeah, it's like sweet chili flavor or something. So yeah, make sure you read the words on the bag because even though it looks like one way in your country, it might actually be a different flavor here. And I mentioned this in a lot of my China videos that the food in China is amazing and it's not the same Chinese food that we get around the world. But I found myself in a Chinese food restaurant here and it was all black people working there, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It caught me off guard. Like in the US, we make jokes about, you know, you go to Panda Express and it's like, you know, Thai or Koreans or Vietnamese or Mexicans working. It's never Chinese people. And that's not Chinese food, by the way. But here it was like, you know, a traditional Chinese place and everybody there was black. Maybe the cooks were Chinese. I don't know. I didn't see back there, but it was just really interesting to see most of the staff being black. But we're in Africa, so it does make sense. What was the point of that statement? So if you're ever walking down the street anywhere in South Africa, you're probably gonna hear a whistle. People here are just like so whistle talented. They whistle like across neighborhoods, you know, to send signals. These guys are really good. So when you stop taxis or taxis want to stop you, a lot of people whistle for a lot of different reasons, but you'll hear it super loud. They don't even use their fingers, you know, like some people do. I can't do it. But no, they just, like, editor, please just add the whistle noise there. And I even heard that there's a whistle language, but I have not researched or confirmed that. So if you know, leave a comment below. Tell us, what is this whistle language? And I've mentioned in a lot of my other videos, specifically China, that you can learn a lot about a culture by looking at the signs. No exception here. I've noticed that there's a lot of prohibition signs like no this, no that, don't do this here, don't do that. And there's a lot of people doing that very thing next to the sign.
This is the way.
For example, I was at Signal Hill the other day and there's a sign there that says like no alcohol. I saw this lady with a kit. It was like a plastic carton that had 6 wine glasses, 2 bottles of wine, and she's just, you know, walking around. This other guy had 2 bottles of red that they just finished and he was going to the garbage. And so, you know, when I see the no drone thing, I'm like, when in Rome.
Don't admit to crime.
When I moved to China, one of my goals was to learn the third world squat or the full squat, or as we call it in the US, the Asian squat. But I always hated that name because I know people outside of Asia can do it. They make it seem like, oh, if you're not Asian, you can't do this. But here in South Africa, I've seen tons of people do this squat. So it is the human squat, the human full squat that we've lost our ability to do. And I'm still training it and I'm gonna get there one day. And another similarity to China, South Africa's #1 American fast food restaurant is not McDonald's, but KFC. I don't know if the strategy is the same that they used in China to become more successful than McDonald's. There's obviously McDonald's here, but way more KFCs, tons of KFCs. And then here they have tons of their own versions of McDonald's and KFCs. There's lots of fast food here. Speaking of which, fast food, Americans are often like ridiculed and chastised, like, oh, you guys just live off of fast food. In South Africa, so many people eat fast food. It's a ton of fast food eaters here. And because you have 50,000 options, it is generally cheaper. Just like our fast food is usually not that great. I can cook better than most of these fast food restaurants, so I don't eat it that often. But I did make it a point to like try some of these just to see how it was and to feel like I was more immersed in the culture. Now, having traveled from Johannesburg all the way south, all the way through the country to Cape Town, I've seen quite a bit of the country, and Mandela's name is everywhere. It makes sense, but I don't know, sometimes you just don't expect to see like this Mandela School, Mandela Art Institution, Mandela Dog Kennel, like Mandela Medicine, like everything is named after this man. It's just really funny to see his name everywhere. And the second most common name that I see is Hollywoodbets. So this is like a gambling company, and these guys like sponsor sports teams and they own stadiums, and you see signs all around town. And yeah, so Mandela and Hollywoodbets, half of South Africa is named after those two things. So one thing that I noticed more so in Durban and Joburg than I have since I've been in Cape Town is their unhappiness with post-apartheid government. And you know, my channel's not political and I don't really get into it, but this is something that I've heard a lot, especially from the apartheid generation, that they're, you know, they don't feel like the original dream or plan was completed or is not being fulfilled the way that they had envisioned it. The government's corrupt. And not to say that that's weird, but sometimes the way that they say it, the way that they express it is very, not sarcastic, but just, I would liken it to the character Uncle Ruckus on the Boondocks.
Thank God for the white man's infinite mercy, Martin Luther King.
How he's just anti-black people in every way. He's the exact opposite of most black people's mindsets, and even more extreme than most white people's mindsets. I meet people like that here in South Africa that have that same mentality, but toward their own culture and government. I've never met an American like Uncle Ruckus. I think that's what makes that character funny. But here in South Africa, that character might not be funny because I've met at least 4 or 5 people who have this strong of an opinion, and they were vocal. That was eye-opening. In Joburg, I got the introduction to South African history and culture and all that, and understand segregation is still around. It's not run by the government. It's not to separate people, but just habit. You know, your family always lived there, so you live there. And so instead of integrating, you just stayed where you were. And so there you still see what looks like segregation. As I've gone from Joburg toward Cape Town, like the segregation gets a little like stronger, like starker contrast. And this is excluding the townships and informal settlements and things like that. Excluding that, but even like within the nice neighborhoods. So say you have this nice neighborhood, on this side would be like the Indians, and then this side would be the white people, and then that side would be the black people in that same neighborhood. So again, this could still just be from historical, cultural, this is what we've always done, so this is what we'll keep doing. But you can see it, and it's just something interesting that I noticed. So I met a guy here at the hostel in Cape Town, he's from Joburg, and he mentioned to me, man, Cape Town is way more segregated than Johannesburg. And I was like, well, Johannesburg seemed quite segregated to me, so yeah.
Oh, this is uncomfortable.
As I was on the garden route, there were several times where we came across wildfires. Google Maps even tells you like, hey, there's wildfires here, because I guess they're so frequent and they last for such a long time. So, and maybe this could be the same in other places, but I've only seen it here. I arrived in South Africa in the middle of November. Apparently this is before peak season, which starts around December 15th when schools get out and all that. So for that first month, I got kind of used to, this is what this costs and this is what that costs. And then I was going places, or, you know, December 15th and on, and even some of like the waiters in restaurants or at museums, they're like, well, hold on, I need to check to see how much it costs, because the prices change. So they go off peak and peak season pricing, but for everything. I'm used to tourism being like that, but like here, even food, like restaurants will change their prices because they know more people will be there. And so there's peak season pricing and off peak season pricing. And I got to see the transition, and I got to pay after the transition, which sucks. I don't know if you knew this, but not every white person in Cape Town can speak Afrikaans. Everybody speaks English. I was at a restaurant, and there was a Belgian friend of mine, he speaks Afrikaans, so he was trying to talk to the waitress. She had no idea what he was saying. And he was like, you don't speak Afrikaans? She's like, no, just English. I thought like all of Western Cape spoke Afrikaans. Originally in Durban or in Johannesburg, if some people assumed I was a local, they'd speak to me in Zulu or you know, maybe one of the Sotho or something like that, or English. As I got closer to Cape Town, I started being approached in Afrikaans. And I'm like, I don't speak Afrikaans.
I don't speak freaky deaky Dutch.
Then I'm thinking, oh, okay, everybody over there speaks Afrikaans. No, like anywhere in the world, you have people who are begging. And so people, you know, say, yeah, can I have some food, or can you take me to the store and buy me some? I don't want your money. I just want you to take me to the store and buy me some milk, or buy some milk for my daughters or for my kids or whatever. If it's an able-bodied man, I'm always like, absolutely not. You know, if you're not offering your work services, that would make more sense. Like, hey, I'm willing to work to get what I need, versus, hey, give me a handout. And then as you get to Cape Town though, oh my goodness, the beggars here are way more persistent than like in Durban or Joburg. Most times people say, will you give me? You say no, and they're like, whatever. But here, like, they'll follow you down the street, just, you know, keep asking. It's like, bro, like, are we not speaking the same language? It's really interesting. I don't remember why I was talking about this. So when I was at the Apartheid Museum in Johannesburg and the Kwa Mukhle Museum in Durban, I probably said that wrong. They mentioned how the apartheid government used alcohol to control the people. And you can see the after effects of that, the aftermath, and how that's shaped the culture for today. For example, you normally can't buy liquor in grocery stores or convenience stores. you have to go to a liquor store to buy liquor. I can only think of 2 grocery stores that actually sell beer or wine versus, in the US and Europe, you can get it, at the gas station or whatever. And you even notice that liquor stores close like at 8 or 9, like they don't stay open late. So if you want to get alcohol late, you have to go to a bar that has a specific license to sell the liquor. And then you can also see this when you go to a public beach or a public park. They'll check your bags and they want to see if you're bringing in liquor along with firearms. These are the things that liquor is on the same level as fireworks and firearms. But on the flip side of that, when you're in public places, as long as there's no sign forbidding it, you can have alcohol in public areas, beer cans or wine bottles or whatever. But if there's a sign, like we mentioned before,
this is the way.
Unlike in the US where you just can't have alcohol ever anywhere in public. Before coming to South Africa, I had been living in Brazil for the last 2 years, and I wanted to share just a few parallels I've seen with the cultures between Brazil and South Africa. Both of them have a very evident extreme wealth gap. You see Ferraris and Maseratis and McLarens right next to, informal settlements, favelas. So this stark contrast between wealth and poverty, very apparent in both these countries. So the townships here, or informal settlements, are just like the favelas in the sense that generally they're located on the side of a hill going up. People go in there and they don't pay for the land, you get it for free. Also, you get free water, you get free electricity, you get free internet. I don't know who's providing it in either place, but you see the lines going in and the people don't pay for that. So that exists in both countries. For tourists traveling to either of these countries, they're both warned, be careful, this place is dangerous. Oh my goodness, Johannesburg is so dangerous, the crime is so high, don't walk around at night. Oh my goodness, favelas in Rio, you're gonna get abducted. Like there's a lot of fear mongering from media. And of course, it's probably based on an event or two that happened in these locations. But I've been in both of these areas and I never feel unsafe. Granted, I look Brazilian, I look South African, so that might be helpful for me. But I think even for my friends who are traveling here from Europe or from other places where they don't look like the locals, they often say that it doesn't feel as unsafe as everybody makes it out to be. I even know a guy from Tanzania, and he was told that Cape Town was going to be unsafe to walk around at night. And we went out one night and he was like, this is great. And now he goes out by himself all the time at night. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, Brazilians also do not stop at stop signs or stoplights.
Ain't gonna stop.
And this is funny because this, I think, is on the flip side of this perception of violence. The locals know that it is possible to get robbed at a stoplight at night, so they don't stop. They just keep going. There's always more to the story than what we're seeing. And also, like I mentioned before, in Brazil, they will sell food on the highways in traffic. I don't know if they sell SIM cards in Brazil, but they do sell some other stuff like umbrellas and rain jacket. You can buy anything in Brazil on the street or at the beach. There's somebody selling it. Clothes, yeah, refrigerators. Brazil has it all. Another similarity is how they talk on the phone. So I made lots of videos about how the Brazilians, speakerphone in the middle of the night in a public place, just, yelling at whoever they're talking to as a conversation, not because they're upset, just because they're really loud and excited. And South Africans do the exact same thing. And especially being here in hostels, you hear just people on the phone. I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it's just like culturally, it's not an issue. And it should be, in my opinion. And then if you're watching a video or something, wear headphones. It's almost like they're anti-headphone here or something. One lady, I was like, hey, do you own headphones? Because if not, I'll go buy you some, because I'm tired of hearing your TV show at 6 o'clock in the morning. Why are you up at 6 o'clock in the morning scrolling through Instagram and watching telenovelas? I digress. It exists in both places. So the last thing is air conditioning. Now here in South Africa, especially Cape Town, I think they're catering more to the Europeans. So you see less air conditioning than you would in Brazil, for example. But when they both have the air conditioning on, they both like it really cold. And I like that, that's awesome. But Europeans, anything under 26 degrees and they get the flu immediately.
Whoa, it's like a furnace in here.
Yeah, I turned up the heat. I'm freezing.
So you see that parallel between Brazil and South Africa. So this has been my super long video about all the observations that I've seen just in 3 months of living here. I'd like to know, what do you think? Do you agree with these things? Do you have things to add? Leave comments below. Share your experiences. Tell me all about it. I love to hear. I love to interact with you guys. I've been having a great time in South Africa. I hope to come back soon after my 3 months is over. Stay tuned. I'm going to keep traveling around Africa for the next few years, so hope you guys tag along with me. See you. Is that normal? You guys do it at the beginning too? Sorry? Because when we did this time, you did a snap.
Did I do a snap?
You did.
You're just being extra for the camera.
Really? So the snap was natural for you?
Yeah. It happens.